Okay, with that, we're going to just jump into our first conversation. We have a panel being moderated by the great Hudson Jameson, one of my dear friends, and it is the Future of Ethereum 1.0 in 2021. So joining him is Tim from ConsenSys Quorum, Pooja from Ethereum Cat Herders, and James from the Ethereum Foundation. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you happen to be in the world.
Hey, John.
Good to see you.
Hey.
Great to see you.
Likewise. Everybody ready?
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
All right, take it away.
All right, thanks so much, John. Hey, everybody. This is Hudson. I'm here to, with my other panelists, present on the Future of Ethereum 1.0 in 2021. Let's click this away. All right, so here's the overview of the panel. I'm going to be talking about the history of the ALLCOREDEVS meetings. Pooja is going to be talking about how the Ethereum cat herders assist in all things network upgrade and core devs. James is going to be talking about network upgrade coordination. And finally, Tim will be talking about the future of the ALLCOREDEVS. If we have some time at the end, we might take a question or two. And thank you all for showing up. All right, so just a little about me. I've been the facilitator for the ALLCOREDEV meetings since 2016. I'll be passing that off to Tim starting in March, roughly. I also co-founded the Ethereum Cat Herders, do stuff at the Ethereum Foundation, do community stuff across Ethereum and Zcash. I'm also an advisor to Status and Chainlink, and I have 3 cats who I love dearly. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Ethereum core developer calls, we call the ALLCOREDEVS calls because that's what the chat room channel that was originally made for this, that you'll see in a little bit, is called. It happens every other Friday at 1400 UTC, so that's roughly 9 a.m. Eastern time, and then it's like afternoon in Europe and evening in Asia. So we try to make it like even for everybody to participate. So the ALLCOREDEVS GITTER was established in 2015 by Gavin Wood. At the time, there wasn't really like a bunch of different organizations like there are now. It was mostly the Ethereum Foundation. So there was meetings of about 8 to 10 to 12 people who would talk about core developer issues, what to do with the clients, how to do hard forks, etc. We transitioned from GITTER to Discord in late 2020. And that's been great so far. It also helps us coordinate with the ETH 2.0 people for stuff like the merge coming up, and just generally convey stuff about EIPs, have some good chat sessions there. The Ethereum PM repo was established in September 2016 by me. In there, if you go to github.com/ethereum/PM, you can see all the meeting notes for core developer meetings spanning back all the way to end of 2016, all the way to today. We have like a chart. We kind of have what the meetings are about. It's a place that we also have the agendas in the issues section. So if you're ever interested in seeing what's going to come up with a lot of the Ethereum 1.0 space, you can check out the agenda and start seeing how you can contribute, what the other client devs are doing, stuff like that. The video recordings were established in January 2017. Before then, it was just audio or just in person, not recorded. This is an old one. This was actually the first one that was video recorded. ALLCOREDEVS number 11. We see Peter's lovely face on there. So yeah, we just have video recordings. I think that's nice because people can kind of feel more involved and get a sense for how people are acting. We've also started having video on so that we can get like facial reactions and stuff like that from people. Also, I have an obligatory number go up slide. As you can see, we are going up in number on the core dev meetings. So the numbies are looking really good, everyone. That was my fast spiel. If you go to hudsonjameson.com, I have blogs up about Ethereum network upgrade history and about what it means to be a core developer if you're interested. Other than that, I think that's good. You can find me on Twitter at Hudson Jameson, and I'm going to pass it off to Pooja.
Hey everyone, excited to be part of ETHDenver. This is my first time,
So thanks for providing me the opportunity to talk about ECH, a working group to support Ethereum community at large. I'm Pooja Ranjan, the herder-in-chief at Ethereum Cat Herders, currently supporting Ethereum network upgrade as community liaison. So who are cat herders? Founded in 2019 by Hudson, Jameson, and Lane Rettig from the Ethereum community to support the Ethereum development work with communication and coordination activities. Network upgrade and ALLCOREDEVS meeting notes were the primary that people could think of at that time. But with time, more people joined, and now we are a decentralized project management group that aims to support Ethereum as Ethereum support desk for the new community members. This group has project managers, developers, and individual community contributors. How do we support it? Communication and coordinations are the primary tasks that we are undertaking. We reach out to client development team and try to spread information about the progress and the network upgrade. Also in coordination with community, we collect some feedback from them as per requirement of the client developers, and with analysis of the data, we share the feedback with everybody in the Ethereum ALLCOREDEVS meeting. We also facilitate the breakout room meeting that is sometimes needed to support the decision-making process, making it faster, which cannot be, ALLCOREDEVS meetings, saving ALLCOREDEVS meetings time. Process improvement is important for any project. EIP is a group who is currently looking into the process improvement part of it. The cat herders are co-contributors, and we are trying to document the new changes, also document notes which are coming from core meetings. Community building is important as we see it. Ethereum is a decentralized project and we would want everybody to join. So we organize different events and we try to participate in different blockchain conferences to talk more about Ethereum. Educational resources. At present, on the Cat Herders website, we have educational resources of the information that are with us. But we are also working with Ethereum.org people to make this information readily available for people. Recently, we started P-Penny, which is dedicated to improvement proposal. I'm going to talk about it in the later slide. So why P-Penny? EIPs are building block of Ethereum chain. In August 2020, we started the P-Penny series with how to write an EIP. The purpose was to provide more information about the proposals which are under discussion. And we wanted to make sure that people should be aware of it. And if they have any questions, we could bring the authors on the platform where they can ask the questions from authors directly. In this process, we also try to standardize the proposal, push it forward as fast as possible. And this also helps us making a useful resource for every proposal which has been considered for Ethereum. So far, we have recorded over 22 episodes, and these can be found at Ethereum Cat Herders YouTube channel under a playlist P-Penny. Next. As they say, anything is possible if you have the right people to support you. We are so lucky to have found so many different working groups in the Ethereum ecosystem, and we are working closely with Ethereum ALLCOREDEVS developers, EIP editors and authors, with the Fellowship of Ethereum Magician people, and with their support, we are trying to build a stronger community. Next. This is the list of all our social media where you can find Ethereum Cat Herders. Discord is the best place to hang out for the latest information. You can subscribe to the Ethereum Cat Herders newsletter by following us at Medium. ECH website is currently under renovation. Meanwhile, you can follow us at GitHub meeting for notes.
And if you go to Hudson Jameson on Twitter, one of my latest tweets has a link to these slides as a sub-comment on the topic of this meeting, and like a link to, or this presentation, and a link to the presentation on Twitch.
That's all. Thank you.
All right, next up we have James.
Hello, I'm James Hancock. I started volunteering with the CoreDevs about 2 years ago, and then was picked up about a year ago by the EF to help spend more time on that. I do the hard fork coordination, so you can find me at jhancock on Twitter. DMs are open. At some level, Ethereum is the software that we're all running on our nodes. And so my role as hard fork coordinator is to help schedule and coordinate between the decision makers how all of these things fit together, so that node operators and community can all install together and stay in sync with the network. And there's 4 major clients today: Geth, Besu, Nethermind, and Open Ethereum. And each of them have their own developer teams and their own work habits and their own places where they communicate. And we all get together in the ALLCOREDEVS, and I help basically just schedule the decisions that they make there. And we've moved a lot of, it used to be in the EIP repo, but now this kind of work is done in the ETH 1.0 specs repo. Currently we're in the scheduling process for Berlin, where we're choosing the fork blocks for the test nets, and then upcoming we'll be choosing mainnet. And a more in-depth summary of, or more in-depth on EIP statuses into hard forks and how those work was written by the cat herders, and there's a link at the bottom of the proposal, which I think you'll be able to either click on later or find on Hudson's Twitter thread.
Cool. Thanks, James. Hey, everybody. I'm Tim. So as Hudson mentioned earlier, I'll be taking over the ALLCOREDEVS call starting in March. So I've been working closely as part of them over the past 2.5 years as a product manager on one of the ETH1 clients, Hyperledger Besu. And the other thing that's been keeping me busy is championing EIP 1559 over the past year or so. Next slide, please. So I think, one way to think about ALLCOREDEVS is really a balancing act between the different parts of the community. So, on one hand, we have the client developers, which James mentioned, who are really kind of the core of the call, which, put together the software that the nodes use on the network, and look through the different proposals and determine what should go in the upgrades. But then in order to actually get proposals, we have people coming into the calls who champion certain EIPs. And those are ideas about how we can improve the protocol. I mentioned EIP 1559, that's one of them. We see people coming in all the time with, say, different cryptographic curves that they want added to support stuff like ZK snarks, or even new opcodes that'll just help their application run better on Ethereum. So people coming in and kind of proposing these things are obviously a very important part of the call. And then, another big part of ALLCOREDEVS is trying to think through what the rest of the community wants, right? So everyone who's involved in Ethereum, but who isn't involved in the CoreDevs calls themselves. And, I think what we try to do in ALLCOREDEVS is balance between all of those and get to a spot where everyone is happy. But, at the end of the day, the client developers are really kind of the core stakeholders of that call, because they're the ones who show up to every call, that actually, do the work when we have to implement something, and that are ultimately responsible if anything goes wrong with a network upgrade. So one thing I've been trying to do as I'm ramping up on taking over the calls is talking with the different client developers and understanding, how do we make these calls as valuable as we can for you all? And once that's done, we'll obviously be reaching out to the rest of the community to get the similar feedback. So far, I've talked to all of the different client teams, as well as a few folks who are involved pretty regularly in the call. There's a link on this slide that links through the kind of extensive feedback that I've gathered. But at a high level, there were really 3 bits of feedback that came up pretty frequently. The first is that the calls can kind of feel slow and inefficient, but at the end of the day, they work. Ethereum keeps running. We have network upgrades. So even though the process can be sometimes frustrating when you're part of it, if you zoom out a little bit, it actually is not all that bad. And that's, I think, something that can kind of be lost when you're sitting into call after call and it feels like you're not making a ton of progress. Yeah, if you zoom out on kind of a month or a year's time span, it's pretty incredible how much the protocol has evolved. Oh, sorry, still on this slide. Thanks. I guess the other thing that came up a lot is there's kind of a tension in the call between trying to use it to make important decisions about the protocol and trying to have kind of more in-depth discussions about certain aspects of the protocol. And both those things are important, but sometimes people get frustrated when they're coming into the call expecting to have a technical discussion about something, and we spend half the call trying to come to a decision, or vice versa. They come into the call trying to get a decision made about their topic, and then we kind of get bogged down into some technical discussion for half the call. So there's really these two kind of tasks that people want to do in the call that are both important to do there, but that sometimes, it's hard to balance between them. And finally, the last bit of feedback that came is kind of the lack of a long-term roadmap. So the way we operate on ETH1 is we tend to look at the next network upgrade and plan for that. And then when that one is done, we plan for the one after. And while that kind of worked well, I think, to get us so far, with things coming up like the merge of ETH1 to ETH2 and these kind of big events that will have to happen in the protocol, there was a desire that most people noted to try to draft the way of how we get there. Even though we don't decide every single thing in advance, what are the big things we need to get done if we want to get the merge done over the next few years. So based on that, there's a couple first steps that we're going to be taking to improve the calls. That's the next slide. The first one is obviously discuss the roadmap. So as Hudson and James mentioned, we're in the process of finishing up the next network upgrade called Berlin right now. And as that is dying down, we're going to take some time on the next couple calls to discuss a lot of potential things for the roadmap over the next year or so. So stuff like the merge to ETH2, stuff like potentially removing features from the protocol before we merge with ETH2. So we get a feel for, what are the really important things that everyone agrees we should do. And once we have those lined up, we'll kind of know how much other stuff we can do. The second thing that was kind of probably the easiest fix is, I mentioned earlier, this kind of tension between like having technical discussions and making decisions on the call. So one way to help with that is to just have agendas planned over a longer period of time. So historically, we've only had the agenda for the next call available, and it's really hard to say, I want to talk about this thing. It's really important, but it's not super urgent in the next 2 weeks. And those things tend to get pushed out. Or similarly to say, look, we need to take a decision on this. We're not ready to do it now, but we can say that in a month we'll be ready. So at least having a longer term agenda, we can flag either technical topics we want to discuss well in advance, and then people have time to prepare for them, or a decision we want to make, and then everybody can know in advance and make sure that they're available for this call if they want to be part of the decision-making process. And the last part, this is the hard one, so we haven't gotten to it yet. But I think the core developers are sometimes uneasy with the role that they play in the community, where people put a lot of pressure on them to shape the protocol. And while the developers do decide what goes in the upgrades, it's really the entire Ethereum community that decides if those upgrades get adopted. And I think putting together a sort of mission statement or scope for what the client developers want to be accountable for and making that explicit to the community is a good way to communicate, this is what we own and this is what we want to see the community kind of voice their opinion on. And that's all I had, and I think we're right at time.
Yeah, we got this Ethereum 1559 community call coming up, organized by the Ethereum Cat Herders. Check out the Ethereum Cat Herders on Twitter, where we have a post to our Medium article that explains this and who's involved. Please join us for this. This is February 26th. Other than that, I think we are at time. Thanks everybody on the panel. Thanks ETHDenver for having us. And back to you, John.
Oh, you're muted, John.
John, you're muted. We can't hear your beautiful voice.
I was singing while I was talking. Thank you. Wonderful update. Thank you for all of your contributions. Pooja, we expect to see you in person next year. Seems that this is your first.
Sure, I'll be happy to.
All right. Thanks. Bye now.